This is our crazy campervan adventure in New Zealand, which started off rocky but was an unforgettable experience. We flew from Atlanta to LA, from LA to Sydney, and then from Sydney to Auckland. We couldn't board our flight from Sydney to Auckland due to a late check-in. When we landed in Sydney from LAX, we had 45 minutes to board, but the airlines wouldn't let us due to check-in bags, therefore resulting in us missing our flight. Then we had to pay $1,300 to get the next flight to Auckland, which made us miss our pickup time for our campervan by 45 minutes. This is a terrible start to our journey, and both of us were not happy. Since we missed our flight and our campervan pickup, we had to change our plans and get a hotel near the airport until the next morning. We arrived at the campervan rental and headed out to begin our epic quest to see New Zealand.
Okay, I think it's recording. This is Caitlin, not knowing how to work the GoPro. And this is Nick. I hope. Yeah, there's Nick driving
On the left side, wrong side.
New camper down the road. Okay.
Our first destination was Hobbiton Village, where they filmed parts of the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit film. We had a delicious breakfast there and checked out their gift shop before the tour started, which we ended up buying a couple of things for our family and friends.
Oh my god, Hobbit.
The tour itself was amazing and more magical than I ever expected. The attention to detail that Peter Jackson and his team put into this set was astounding. A 10 out of 10 experience. I would recommend for anybody traveling to New Zealand to go visit Hobbiton. Even my wife, who had never seen any of the films, loved this place. After the tours was over, we headed off to the town of Rotorua. We made a pit stop on our way to Rotorua at a place called Blue Springs Patuaruru. This was a small walk along a slow-moving river that was so pure the water was a deep blue. This place was magical and had bird wildlife everywhere. The water slowly flowed, which the plants living within slowly waved back at us. After this pit stop, we drove to Rotorua to our campsite where we experienced some natural hot springs. Where are we going, Kitty?
Two hot pool, baby. Damn.
We woke up around 7 a.m. and made breakfast so we could arrive at our reservation for the Kiwi National Hatchery in Rotorua. This is a cool place as they educate and protect the wild kiwi bird. Kiwis were quite endangered at one point due to humans, non-native species like ferrets, stoats, possums, cats, and dogs. Kate and I both did not realize how big the kiwi birds were, and that they lay eggs almost the size of an ostrich egg. This place didn't allow cameras of any kind in the habitat area, but it was still a cool experience to see one in person. Next, we drove to the Waitomo caves so we could see the famous glowworms, or glow maggots as we later found out. We went caving with a guide and 2 other people from Seattle named Kelsey and Flynn. The worms were cool to see as they looked like little blue stars on the cave wall. You have the option of tubing down the river in these caves, but we were on a time crunch and didn't want to spend the extra cash. Maybe we'll do that next time. After we emerged back on the surface, we decided to hike up into the forest beside the caves with our new friends Flynn and Kelsey. This was a cool trail with rivers, caves, and dinosaur-like foliage. Once we finished our hike, we said goodbye to our new friends and headed off to a place called Whakapapa, or Whakapapa in their native tongue. This place had beautiful scenery and a ski park, but unfortunately we didn't get to go skiing. Check out our campsite. This is our camper van. This place was one of the coldest nights that we experienced in New Zealand since we camped at the bottom of a frozen active volcano. We left Whakapapa after taking some awesome photos of the volcano. We made a roadside pit stop to check out a gorge where they had shot a few scenes from The Lord of the Rings. Once back on the road and hitting a few road constructions, I realized that our GPS said that we would be 10 minutes late to our ferry, which we thought left at 2 p.m. This is when our plans hit another bump in the road. I asked Kate to call the ferry and ask if we can still make it if we were late. Kate hung up the phone after speaking to someone and informed me that I had booked the ferry for 2 a.m., not p.m. Since New Zealand used military time and not a.m. p.m. like some people in the U.S. This meant that our entire itinerary changed. At this point, I'm furious with myself since I'm the one that made the bookings. As I'm driving in silent, Kate was able to find another ferry that left the next afternoon. This again messed up our reservations for campgrounds, and we also lost out on $400 and meant that we had to pay another $400 for the new ferry ticket. As we got closer to Wellington, I saw a sign for a beach called Kuku Beach. I told Kate, let's just go to this beach and take a breath of fresh air and calm down. We were both a bit upset by this change of plans considering what had happened with our flights earlier. Making that decision though to go to this beach turned out to be freaking wonderful. I kept telling myself God always had a reason for things even if it doesn't benefit us. This beach was empty, beautiful, and just what we needed to calm ourselves down, and thank God that we were able to be in another country. We ran into one family that was on the beach, a grandmother, her daughter, and her granddaughter. We talked to them for a bit, and the grandmother asked, I know Kuku Beach wasn't on your itinerary, so what brings you here? Kate and I laughed and told them our story and our mishaps, which started to become funnier the more we thought about it. This beach was covered with white sand, volcanic rock, driftwood, snails, shells, birds, and not a human in sight. I have never experienced a beach like this. We spent about an hour and a half and had lunch in our van next to the beach. Does it?
You felt me say that?
Yeah. Kate and I made a reservation just outside of Wellington in a town called Upper Hutt. This town was cute and had a walking path beside our campsite, which we walked on that afternoon to relax and enjoy New Zealand. Today was the day that we were supposed to be hiking at the Abel Tasman on the South Island, but since we had made a booking area for our ferry, we unfortunately didn't get to experience this. However, we both decided to head to Wellington Botanical Garden, which overlooked the city and had a beautiful greenhouse and a cafe. We spent the majority of the day here and had a wonderful lunch. We walked into town and saw the famous Beehive government building, which we didn't even know was a thing until we saw it. We boarded our ferry, which was the first time for me driving a vehicle onto. We had ridden on a ferry before in our Greece trip, but never driven on one. It was not as scary as it seemed. The ferry had to be one of the prettiest ferry rides I have ever seen though, or been on. The views in the channels going from the North Island to the South Island were just breathtaking. The Lord put on a show for us with a gorgeous sunset over the mountains surrounding the waterways. Now, I always believe the Lord has a plan, and this ferry ride proved to be doing this. We had met a young man, the age of 19, on this ferry as we were taking pictures in front of the boat. Come to find out, he was from the same town and state we were from, and was on a work visa traveling across New Zealand. Not only that, but then we got word from one of the ladies working on the ship that a boat in Christchurch had collided with a whale after whale watching, which resulted in 5 out of the 11 people drowning. The crazy part is Kate and I were going to go whale watching that same day, but decided to go west to Hokitika instead of Christchurch. Once we landed in Picton, we had to drive an hour and a half to our campsite at night to St. Arnaud, which ended up to be one of my favorite places of the trip. Though we didn't get to see Abel Tasman, we made up for it with this campsite. I woke up around 6:20 a.m. to get pictures of the sunrise in this beautiful valley. This place did not seem real. The night before it had rained, which covered the peaks of the mountains surrounding the lakes with snow. Probably my favorite campsite, and it wasn't even on my list in the beginning. It's funny how things work out like that. We hit the road and had about a 3.5-hour drive to a town called Hokitika, which was famous for the New Zealand greenstone, and I wanted to get my hands on some. While driving through the beautiful mountains and valleys, we saw a gorge that we wanted to check out. We found a picnic area on the side of the road and went down on what we thought was a trail to the river. Turned out it wasn't, but we managed to get an up-and-close greeting with a New Zealand weka, aka the New Zealand squirrel in my opinion. I call them squirrels because they have the tendency to dart out in front of traffic, just like they do in the US. These birds are not afraid of humans and are very cute. We finally made it to Hokitika, where we proceeded another 30 minutes to check out the Hokitika Gorge, known for its super blue water. This hike was awesome, with cable bridges and gorgeous scenery. We ended up making friends with a couple on the trail who were driving the same camper van as us. They were super friendly and invited us out to dinner. I didn't get any footage or pictures of them as we just enjoyed their company and our time with them. So I guess it didn't happen in YouTube's eyes. Nonetheless, we enjoyed dinner and drinks with our new friends Nick and Sheridan from Brisbane at a restaurant called the Pioneer Hotel. And afterwards, we made our way to a glowworm Dell. This was a cool place as it was just a little walk off the side of the road that took you to a steep hillside with the glowworms. And the best part, it was free. We walked around the Hokitika Town and decided to buy one of the greenstone necklaces and check out the beach. This town is a must-see. It's very small, beautiful, and quiet. What do you think, Caitlin? We then left Hokitika for Queenstown, which was our largest drive of the trip at 6 hours and 20 minutes. This trip actually became a 9.5 hour trip since we made several stops to check out beautiful scenery and landscapes. Not much happened on this day, just lots of sightseeing, which I will let the footage do the talking. Once we got to our final campsite in Queenstown, we hitched an Uber ride to the town center where we tried the delicious and best burger place in the world, the Ferg Burger. This burger was super delicious and better than most burger joints in America. Also, New Zealand cider is on point. We woke up early to catch our book tour to the Milford Sound. The tour was well worth the price as they pick you up in a Mercedes van with 10 other people. A free lunch is provided, and then drive you to the Milford Sound while stopping at different sites. So you don't have to worry about navigating through these tight roads and the snow. Along the way, we got to see lots of snowfall and avalanches that had happened a few days prior. My favorite, though, was seeing the alpine snow parrot.
You're smart with the camera. We tried to pack a big camera or something.
Hey, what are you gonna do? You know?
That's so cute.
This is one of the most breathtaking things I have ever experienced in my life. The pictures and videos just don't seem to do it justice for this place, but I will try with this montage of the fjords and the Milford Sound. Here we met some cool people and friends from Massachusetts. The fjords were definitely a great way to close out this trip. We didn't do much on September 14th except for catch a flight to Brisbane or Brizzy if you're from Australia. We landed in Brizzy and stayed at this beautiful Airbnb in Fortitude Valley. Welcome to Brisbane. Check this out, y'all. Brisbane City. The only reason we came to Brizzy is for one reason and one reason only. The Australian Zoo, also known as the Steve Irwin Zoo. To say I was excited is an understatement. This place was phenomenal and massive. We got a little surprised as we got to see Robert Irwin live doing a show just like his father did 15 years ago. This was an unexpected event as we had asked multiple workers for our chances of seeing the Irwins, and they all said none unless it was an Aussie holiday. So to see Robert come out and do the show was amazing. My favorite part though of the whole zoo was to be able to sit and chill with the kangaroos. The zoo took Kate and I all day to walk and check out, and we ended up buying a ton of souvenirs. After this, our trip sadly had to come to an end, but left us both with great memories, stories, and new friends. I hope one day I get the chance to travel back to both of these countries, as 12 days just isn't enough. New Zealand has become one of my favorite trips I have ever been on, and the best way I can describe this country is with this. If Ireland and Iceland had a baby, you would get New Zealand. Cheers. Thanks for watching our adventures on Tropia Films. If you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe.